Gus, your impressions of joining the 49ers and what you're getting yourself into here.
It's just first-class organization in every way. I think it just really starts with Kyle and John, what great teammates they are to one another, and just meeting Jed and Dr. York, ownership, just so impressed with them, and I think teaming up with our personnel department and seeing what a talented group that is, and our coaching staff's been really, really fun to work with, and and the best part is teaming up with these players. Once they got back in the building, it's been fun to get started on all the hard work.
Did you know much about Kyle and John? I guess was the exhibition, that preseason scrimmages a couple of years ago, was that where you kind of hit it off with them first?
Yeah, Kyle and I have gotten to know each other, I think, a lot better over the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I think we've gained so much respect for one another, having to face each other, and really, ever since I've been in the NFL, we've played against Kyle in one, shape or form. Whether it's been a regular season game, practiced with him, a couple times when I was when I was with Denver,
yeah,
and then when I was with the Chargers. So, I've seen this program grow. It's something that John and Kyle and I talked about, and very excited to get to work with those guys.
How much did you know about Nick Sorensen coming into this, and how has your relationship with him developed?
Yeah, I knew a lot about Nick through the people that he was with in Seattle. He's actually a Clevelander at heart. That's where his family is. So we share some common ground there in Northeast Ohio. But really got to know him through the guys in Seattle. And then actually after he left Jacksonville, visited with him about our special teams coordinator job. So kind of known of each other. And then when this opportunity came about, I think there was a lot of common ground. Really, it's been really fun to work with him so far.
What is the common ground between the stuff that you've run and the stuff that they've run here now for many years? Do you see a blend that's natural, or is it a little more work to try to get some of those elements into this?
Yeah, I think just a lot of common ground. A lot of respect for how they play defense, both when he was in Seattle and then certainly here in San Francisco, and then have a lot of respect for his experience as a player too. I think he has a lot of foundation in pro football, and so this is a group of guys. Obviously since Kyle and John have been here, having to face them so many times, but set a high standard defensively, and being on the other side of it, certainly a group of guys that we always respected. So I think the team up, I think our backgrounds are more similar than different. But they're also complementary, and so it's been fun to work with Nick and all this group of coaches on defense, because it's a very, very talented staff and really awesome group of guys.
Can you sketch out what your role is? What you and Nick have decided, kind of what your role is going to be, like during the season, during the week, during the game?
Yeah, we'll work through all the seasonal rhythm stuff, but I think I'm going to be here for Kyle and John where they need me to be. I think it'll be kind of a combination of all my roles in the NFL, but I'm going to be working primarily on defense, and but I'll be with a lot of the different position groups, mostly in the secondary, and then working with Kyle closely on a lot of other things.
Saw you throwing the ball in the defensive skeleton, and that's Kyle's thing. How did that work out?
Oh man, just a former college quarterback, trying to spell the starter, if he needs a break. But that's I think from afar, that's something that I think is a really good aspect of what Kyle does, is connect with the defensive group of guys, and what better way to do it than make them feel good throwing some interceptions.
How much of a sounding board have you already been for Kyle? Like former head coach, somebody who's been through some of these things. He talked about you in the draft process too. Have you been able to kind of just sit down with Kyle and talk about concepts, about personnel ideas?
Yeah, I think that's been the aspect, I think, of the job that I've enjoyed the most, is just teaming up with Kyle and John, and doing, what's going to be best for the Niners. And that encompasses, a lot of different things. But if he needs something, then we've been able to connect and kind of collaborate on that. And that's, a big part of the role that I was excited about.
What's the attraction of coming here as opposed to maybe an opportunity to call defenses somewhere else? Why the role that you picked?
I think, the role is really about the people, and I think the place, that's where, most good decisions happen, if you can kind of center on those things. So just a lot of respect for Kyle from afar, and I think we've gotten to know each other, a lot better over the years. And, I think there's just a common ground in how to, coach and lead a football team, and having to face this team over the years, I felt like it would be a good opportunity for myself and my family, and hopefully, be able to, help this team be as good as it can be.
Was the interview process unique as far as Kyle hinted that there was a lot of discussions? Was that about finding that common ground philosophically during the interview process?
I think it was just more or less, ironing out the role. I think, again, like a lot of respect from afar, and then coming here and meeting with Kyle and John, it was just, probably determining the role and the fit. I think that we both had that, that respect for each other from a football standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, but it's just, okay, how's it going to work here? Can it work here? And I think it became clear to all of us that it could, and that would be great, for everybody. And so I'm very thankful for the opportunity, and like I said, I'm excited to get to work.
Kyle said that there's no question who the DC is. It's Nick, obviously. Do you had to talk about that with Nick? Like, I understand I have a reputation. I've been head coach. I want you to know that you're the DC. I mean, do you have to literally have that conversation?
No, I don't think so. That's been defined by Kyle and John. So, what it's really about is putting a group together that's committed to the Niners. And when I came here, that's certainly what I was committed to, and helping this team in whatever way, Kyle and John saw best. And, Nick has been fantastic, and we've got a great group of guys on this coaching staff.
You imagine you're going to be in the booth because Nick's going to be on the field?
I don't know that. Well, I think we'll take the next couple months training camp, and, we've got a lot of time to make those decisions.
You were on the field when you were DC, weren't you?
I was,
yep.
Yeah.
Where does Leonard Floyd enter his defense, and how does he increase what the defense can do, like schematically and pressure packages and things like that?
Yeah, Leonard's one of the top players I've ever coached. I coached him at 2 spots, and I've been able to see his growth and improvement as a player. And I felt like last year he's played as well as he's ever played. And that's saying a lot because he's played at a high level. He's been a part of #1 defenses, wherever he's been, Chicago with the Rams, and then part of a really good group last year in Buffalo as well. So very experienced. And, I think, our organization knew a lot about him before. I think me coming here, filling in, whatever gaps they needed. But, Leonard's resume speaks for itself, and I think he's going to be a great fit for this team and our style of play. And I think teaming up with this group of guys that's already here, excited to see what he can do.
You had to strategize against this offense, I think maybe 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
When they had McCaffrey just coming aboard.
Sure.
I guess what struck you about the offense and maybe how it's transitioned and just what McCaffrey brings to it?
Yeah, well, Christian, he's one of the toughest covers in the league. He's such a complete player. And I think just the challenges, that our offense presents to whatever defense it faces is you have to defend everybody. And I think that's the, I think the strength of their offense is you have to defend everybody, and that they truly have a style of play that you also have to deal with from a technique standpoint, from a physicality standpoint, and and I think Christian, when they made that move, it really allowed their offense to affect the entire field, both in the running game and in the passing game, because he's such a weapon. I'm excited to team up with him instead of having to defend him.
There were some really dynamic defenses around the league that seemed to sort of dictate the game, where it almost seemed like offenses were reacting to what they were doing. I think the Ravens were a good example of that. What are the challenges in trying to install, whether it's post-snap rotation or, exotic blitzes? What are the challenges in trying to get stuff that is kind of complex but make it simple for players to actually understand in a variety of circumstances?
Yeah, I think you got to have enough flexibility within your defense to take advantage of your players, because it starts with your defense. But then you're always trying to make it tough on the offense post snap. The best players in the league, best coaches in the league, post snap, pre snap, if they know exactly what's happening, then you're multiplying their chances of being successful. And so you got to make them operate post snap. I think it's such a scheme world now where every play is on a can, and it's and there's a reason for that, so that they can call plays against ideal looks. So you're trying to present different looks, and if you're going to do that, and if you're going to play different stuff, whether it's front coverage pressure, you got to make sure it's tied together. And the only way that's going to happen is if, as a unit, you have command over it. So you got to be able to teach conceptually, and you got to do what your guys can handle. And so, but all the scheme in the world isn't going to help you on Sunday. You got to be a technique-oriented team. and that's something that, our program here is known for, is style of play. And so that's what we got to focus on always, is our style of play.
You're going from one Bosa to another Bosa.
Yeah.
I guess, are there similarities that work defensively, or what do you see out of Nick?
Yeah, they're both special players. Very fortunate to coach both of them. I think coming here, I think having to, face Nick, you know what a challenge he is. And I've coached, Khalil Mack, Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Leonard Floyd, and Nick's always a guy that we would watch. And I think, when I've been other places and we've had to face him, you just know the type of respect that he has in the game plan, that he's a true matchup player and, one of the top players in the league. And I think I've gained a deeper appreciation of his game being here up close. And, Kris has done such a good job with him. And, Nick is, one of the top players in the league.
You mentioned Demo and that versatility. Do you have a preference on where you'd like him to be, or do you want him to be someone who can go in and out during games?
As long as he's on the field, I'm good, because it gives us a weapon. We know we can put him inside and match up against good receivers, in the slot, and also we know he can play outside. And then also what that means, if he outside, we can bring somebody else in, like Ronaldo Green, Sammy Warmack, Chase Lucas, Keeman Hall, all the guys that we've been repping at nickel. So he give us that versatility and give us our defense more flexibility, to do what we need to do on the personnel back end, depending on the matchups that we seeing that week.
What kind of leap did he make last year, and how did he do it, in your opinion?
Mentally, he made his biggest jump. I think the game slowed down for him. He played outside and inside. Most of his snaps was outside. He played at a high level. The game slowed down for him. He did a hell of a job inside that nickel. He done an unbelievable job outside. The thing that jumps off that tape was just his playmaking ability on the ball. I think he had 10 PBUs and 3 INTs, so he got his hands on a lot of balls last year. Give him credit. We've been putting in the work every day, so I look for him to take another step forward this year.
What do you see from Malik Mustafa?
Everything that I see on tape, a guy that plays fast, physical, violent. The thing is, he's very smart. He has a strong work ethic. I definitely can say that. Sometimes, he beat me to my office, already as a rookie. And I'm like, dude, what are you still doing? What are you doing here? And we walking at the same time. So it says a lot about who he is. He's a very smart player. When I look at him, I know he's built. I wish I had a body like he did, especially up top. But when you're looking at him, he's a guy that got good feet and good hips. He's a very fluid athlete. You wouldn't think that for a guy that's that stout, 5'9", 208. Have fluid hips, but he got fluid hips, he got good feet, very smart, he's versatile, does a lot of things on the back end. When you watch the tape, he can come down in the box, he can bang, he can blitz. He's one of the best tackler guys, best tackling DBs in the draft, which that what we prefer as defense. You want guys that can tackle, because when I tell guys, what's your number one stat? Your number one stat is going to be tackles. You're going to be making more tackles than anything else, so you need a guy that can tackle and have the right mindset and the mentality. And on top of that, just his versatility. We need versatile DBs, the guys that can come down on the slot. Guys can play deep, can play cover 2, can play high, can play in the post, and that's something that he done at Wake Forest, but not a lot of it, but he did put it on tape. So I'm excited about him. He's getting better each and every day, every time he step on the field.
This might sound like a random question, but you're one of the few guys that's been on this staff since the beginning, since Kyle first got here. Richard Sherman, when he came in here, a lot of guys still talk about him and his impact. I'm wondering what you think. What's kind of the lasting impact of Sherman on this group and really this team?
Sherman, unbelievable leader. I say he's one of the smartest players I've ever been around. Probably the smartest player I ever coached. When you're looking at players like him, the biggest thing with him, just his leadership, his football IQ. He been in our scheme for a long time. He played in the scheme his whole career. So when he got here, he was out there coach on the field. He communicated, making all the checks. Same thing as Fred was. Fred, a mighty linebacker, he making all the checks on the field. That's what Sherman did on the front and back end. And he was always a student of the game. And one thing during the offseason, we have teach tape. So when we teach the guys, we show them tapes, clips of a certain technique. From a corner, you playing press man, what that press man technique should look like. And Sherman, as a teach tape, he always on that tape. It ain't got to be press man, it can be zebra bell technique, just a technique within our scheme. So he always on the teach tape. And the only way you get on the teach tape, that clip got to be perfect. The best way, so it's the best clip. And I'm going to show it every year to the guys, hey, watch Richard Sherman here, year 12, year 13 and whatnot, and watch him execute this technique. And I tell him, hey, give me a better technique, and I stop showing it. But it never happens. So, but just for them guys to understand who Sherm is. Now I know he's in broadcast. Them guys know exactly who he is. He done it at a high level, one of the best corners to play in the game. When you mention that to the DBs and then you show them on tape, their eyebrows lit up, their eyes lit up. So, you got them right then and there and you're able to coach them. Then you can call Sherm too as well. Hey, Sherm, talk to this young guy. So, that pays off too as well.
Have you had moments like that where you needed to
I
call him in?
have that many moments I didn't talk to him about a certain player, or I may tell a certain player to reach out to him.
What flashes have you seen from Bernardo Green early?
Smooth athlete, very mature. He's fluid. The thing is with him is like he moved like water. His change of direction, got quick feet, and then a guy that it never seemed so big for him. He always even kill. Even kill. If he make a bad play, he make a good play. He's always even kill. It's never too big for him. He learning 2 positions right now, which I talked about earlier, which is hard for him. But he's doing a great job handling that mentally. He's not making many busts. He's flying around. He's doing the best he can. He's getting better each and every day.
What do you do to make sure that the rookies get caught up to the NFL speed and just this lifestyle without getting obviously too overwhelmed early?
Meetings, right now since rookie minicamp, like we meet with them guys more than we do with the vets. Every day after the practice meeting, we have a rookie meeting, and that's one thing Cal set up to get those guys caught up. So it may be an extra 3 hours. So if we already have meetings in the morning, we go out there and practice on the practice field, and we come back, we have a 3-hour meeting each and every day, and all we do is just review their technique, review their install. So mentally, they caught up. So our whole goal is by the time they start working with the vets, after they have rookie minicamp, they got 1 week with the vets. So for that week, before rookie minicamp, we get on Zoom meetings and we install everything like we do with our vets. So to catch them up mentally. So then when they go through rookie minicamp, it's a smooth transition. After the minicamp, we meet with them again. So then now by the time they get with the vets, they already heard everything that we done told our vets. So they already ahead of the curve from a mental standpoint in regards to the install and all that. So when we're able to go out there on the field, they know exactly what the coach is talking about. They know exactly what the call is. They can get a line up and they can execute their call.
How is Devondre Campbell? Spoke about how he's so excited about being here.
Yeah. Well, he's been awesome, man. I've been watching him play for a long time. And when he was a rookie in, I think, 2016 at Atlanta, and it's his 9th year in the league now, and he's gravitating to our system, and he's just such a good awareness and coverage, and his ability to still run and play, and so we're excited about having him, and he will fit good in our system.
How exciting is it to hear a guy's opinion where he says that, it's been a long time since he's really enjoyed football, and now he really is feeling the enjoyment again.
Yeah, well, we try to build a culture here that, we have fun playing the game, but we're detailed in what we do, and we try not to let players play in gray area and just give him exactly what he's supposed to do. And as a player, that's what you want, and where you can capitalize on your ability and be the best you can be, and we're seeing that in him, that he's flourishing and his ability. He's long and tall, and we're excited to have him. He fits in good with what we do.
And he said, they play grown man football.
Yeah, well, our coach is that we want to be physical and we want to be violent, and we want to put it on tape, and that if you hear it, that's what you're going to see, our players and how we play defense. And most players, they want to play that way, but we demand it, and it shows on tape that how we play, the violent part of our game, how we play. So, I'm sure players are excited to play in this system. I always tease our players, man, I wish I could have played in a system like this when I was a player, but they get a lot out of it.
It seems like the young guys coming out now from college have a little bit better head on their shoulders. Like they've been in college longer. It feels like they, aren't coming out as wide-eyed as they used to from college. I know you got a new guy in the draft.
Yeah, Tatum Bethune. He's I don't know, 5th year senior coming out, but he's played a lot of football, and a lot of stuff is really just changing the terminology to what they've seen, and the technique, how we play things. Some of the technique is a little different, but guys have a lot of experience, man, and football is football, and making tackles is making tackles. So we look for guys that can gravitate to a different system, and we change up a few little techniques that they've probably been doing in college. But for the most part, those guys are, what we see on tape is from college is what we expect them to do here.
And it seems like he again has like a good head on his shoulders. Just coming out of the draft, I mean, he said that he spoke to you a lot throughout the process.
Yeah, he did. We had him on a visit here, and just been around him for a day that shows that he can learn. He has the right character that we're looking for, and he has the ability to take stuff from the meat room and do it on the field. And just watching some stuff that he did in college on the field is what we look for in our linebacker. He plays physical, and he's violent, and he's a smart player that can gravitate to our system and learn it.
And I know you're familiar with Nick Sorensen, obviously, because he's been here before. How has that transition been so far?
It's been really good. I think Nick's it's no surprise. He's doing an excellent job, and Nick been around the system for when he was at Seattle. He was around the system, and since he's been here, he's been around the system. And Nick have worked. He was with the linebackers, secondary, and so he's very familiar with the overall units.
How does this offseason feel so far?
Yeah, it feels good. I think we hit on some players in the draft that fits our system, and some free agents definitely that we signed that's going to fit our system. And it's been a short off season from playing in the Super Bowl, but we love that. And we like the pressure of getting things done in a short period of time. But it's been good, and I think we got better as a team with personnel that we accomplished in free agency.
And how have you've been in touch with Dre Greenlaw, obviously?
Oh, yeah.
How have the spirits been?
Well, Dre's always positive. Dre's always the cup is half full and empty, and I got a lot of confidence that he'll be back full go. And I don't know the time frame, but Dre is a player that stand for the 49er type of defensive player that we want. He's a violent, physical player, but on the other side, he's a great teammate, and we miss him being on the field. But it's part of the game, and he'll get through it.
How do you feel like Devondre Campbell is going to fit in with Fred Warner in Dre's place?
Yeah, I think he'll fit in great. And Campbell and Dre is two different players, and Campbell is a lot longer with length, and Dre is just a physical, really good player. But Devondre he's a student of the game, and he's been around the game a long time, and he's going to give us some veteran presence out there, and so we're really excited to have him. And I think that like I said, he'll fit our system good.
Tap was obviously Mr. Energy. Is Cameron the same way? Does he have that in him to sort of emulate that?
Yeah, he does. Everybody has different personalities, and they have to coach and be their own person. I don't want anybody to come in and try to emulate the guy before. Be your own person. Cam's came in and demonstrated, extremely intelligent individual. He's been around sports, his whole life, through his dad, so he sees things, through a sports lens. And getting here last year and being able to really work underneath Tap and see how the way Tap operated on a day-to-day basis as my assistant was valuable for him, and he's hit the ground running and done a good job so far this spring.
You've obviously had a lot of turnover in your group this offseason. How important and nice is it to have Bosa here for this period of time, just to kind of start working with those guys and get some familiarity?
Really nice. One, to get familiar with the new guys, him get familiar with them, and them get familiar with Bosa, and then just anytime you got Bosa's knowledge, in the meeting room, and guys can bounce ideas off of him, and he's obviously played in a lot of football at a high level in the NFL, and guys gravitate towards that. So I think it's really good for his teammates, and then I think it's really good for Bosa, to get in here and get some work here towards the end of the spring and just try to sharpen things up before we go on this 40 days off, before camp starts, just to work on some some footwork, some bending drills, some standard technique stuff that can just really he can hit start day one of camp with some of that stuff knocked out, now getting it here towards the end of the spring. I think it's really good. So I think it benefits, both ways, and then just the example that he sets on the field, with his technique work and how technical he is with all of his movements and the things. He's been here going on 6 years now, so he's got a really good grasp on all of our alignments, our aiming points, how we use our hands, and guys can just sit back in the line and just watch him go and see how it's really supposed to look.
As he always is, he's pretty critical of himself after the season. He said he felt like he played the run as good as he ever has, but maybe pass rush not where he wanted to be. And he mentioned hand usage in particular, that maybe he didn't get just because you don't get the reps in during the offseason. What did you see from him last year in terms of that, and how is he able to get back to it?
I would agree with his assessment of himself. I thought he took a step he's always been a really dominant run player for us. On the edge, just his ability to be able to reduce run lanes with his edge sets, and the ability to close ground on the backside and get to plays, and then just the instinctual stuff he does in the run game that people really don't even see. I thought was the best he's had since we've been here. As in the pass rush, it's difficult. With the contract stuff and just miss everything. And then, he does a lot of that honing in stuff during camp where he gets the reps versus Trent and the one-on-ones versus Trent. And those are like really valuable reps going against, the best of the best daily. You really get honed in on that stuff. He wasn't able to get that. And, I think we hit the ground running with him with a walkthrough, and then 3 days later he's in a game. It's even when you're one of the best in the world at doing what you do, that's a difficult task. To ask. So just the timing of things, I think, will be more honed in this year, with the reps here at the end of the off season, and then just being able to go out there and go against Trent and the other guys during camp, and really get a feel for the hand use, the timing of it. If you're off a little bit in the NFL, you're not going to win. Guys get paid a lot of money to block him, and he gets paid a lot of money to beat him. So it's a battle of small, minute details that I think, early in the season should pay off with the amount of work he's going to be able to put into it going into it.
Kris, tell us about Collins and Elliott. We haven't seen a lot of them. What do they bring to the table? What are their strengths and weaknesses as you see it?
Start with Malik. It goes way back with Malik. I really liked him coming out of Nebraska. Just the explosion that he can generate through his lower body jumps off the tape. Like, he can play in the backfield, he can recreate the line of scrimmage, he can knock guards back, and he's really athletic on the backside to make plays. And then is the ability to manipulate things in the pass rush. Get a guard to lean one way and beat him another. Work edges on pass rush, and then when guards sit back and try to take those things away from him, has the ability to. With the strength he has in his lower body, he's got a really thick, strong lower body that he can convert stuff into power when needed. He's been a good player in the NFL for a long time. I've always liked his skill set. I think his skill set's tailor-made, kind of to play the attack style nature that, we've played. He's played in some attack schemes throughout his career. Last year, he was down there with Houston, so there'll be a lot of familiarity, going from working with D'Amico and those guys down there in Houston to coming here and doing very similar type things. Then with Jordan, again, it goes back to, we really liked him coming out of college, out of Missouri, and when we were looking at him, and then, we got drafted by Cleveland and played for Chris Kiffin, who was my assistant in 2019, and then played for Jim Swartz last year, who's one of my main mentors in the NFL. He gave him my first job in the NFL, and just watching him there, I think Jordan just brings the size element that, a guy like DJ Jones brought to the middle of our defense, that 320-pound plus frame that also brings extreme, explosion through contact, ability to knock back double teams and dominate singles in the run game, and then a big man that can really reduce the pocket into the quarterback's lap with the strength and the power he's able to generate, through his lower body, through his hands. Just a guy that, early on we kind of targeted, and then, just the work that he did in Cleveland, the people that we contacted there that I know really well, said that, thought he'd be a really good fit personality-wise here, and he's been awesome. Brings size to our defense, strength to our defense, knockback to our defense from the interior.
What about Leonard Floyd? What does he add to the group?
Length, very, very explosive, experience, durability, and then just a guy that's played a lot of football and is still a sponge, learning new techniques here and doing different things. He's been very, very detail-oriented in what we're trying to teach here because it's a little bit different. He's done a lot of different things throughout his career from, a lot of, standing up in a two-point, then three, getting down in a three-point stance. He's done a lot, over his career. And then he's always just been, anytime you plug on the tape of him, he's just always been a productive player, whether it be, rushing a passer, whether it be in the run game, just the relentlessness that he, plays the game with. He's always pursuing the ball, and he has the length and the speed to affect plays, 100 yards, about 53 and a half, just to, protect every, you hear the old cliche, protect every blade of grass. There's certain guys that have the, natural talent and athletic ability to truly do that. He's one of those types. He's long, he can run. Then just his mindset, just the way, his love for the game, jumps off the tape. And everything you hear about him throughout his career, I go back with Leonard as well, went and met with him at Georgia night before his pro day, spent some time with him, got to spend some time with him after his pro day. Really liked him coming out of college. That particular year, I thought he was the most explosive rusher in the draft coming out. And just as I've said in the past, anybody that's caught my eye, that I really thought had the talent to play within our scheme in college, and we really liked him. I keep up with him in the NFL, and things always circle back around. And it's for me, it's kind of circled back around with him. I've always kept an eye on him and just really liked the way he plays the game, the nature, the love, the passion, and then the talent behind it.
Does Shaquille Brown fall into that category too? Somebody that you've been looking at for a little while?
Yes. Got started on him last year in the draft out of Troy, and just watching him on film. And it's a little different scheme at Troy than what we run here, and just tried to, see if the skill set that he had within his body translated to our scheme. And so, we brought him in for a 30 visit, and, we had draftable grades on him. And then, after the draft, we really pursued him really hard as an undrafted free agent, ended up losing out, to Tennessee on him. So, when the waiver came out that we saw that he went through an injury last year, and then saw that, the waiver came out that he had been released at Tennessee, we were on the phone with him pretty quick to see, get him in for a workout, kind of see where he was from a conditioning standpoint, and see where he was, coming off the injury that he had last year. And he checked all the boxes there, so he's a guy that we're excited to, move forward with and work with and progress and try to just get a little bit better every single day with him.
Evan Anderson is a big-bodied guy. You guys don't have necessarily a lot of two-gappers, but he definitely qualifies. He's played at 360. He's dropped down to 320. Where is he now? What's he look like to you? Were you instrumental in bringing him here?
Yeah, and another guy, just watching Evan play in college, I think he's, that's about his weight. I think he's down to about 315 right now, which is good, kind of the targeted weight we kind of envisioned him. But just watching him play in college, just every time I plugged on the tape of him, he just kind of reminded me of a guy we've had here in the past, DJ Jones. Mm-hmm. With just the strong with the explosive traits in his lower body to be able to really, explode out of his stance, recreate a line of scrimmage, knock back guards. Some of the things that DJ Jones did for us down there, playing the 2-eye, from 2019 through 21. And just the effect that DJ had on teams in the run game, blocking him at the 2-eye made things difficult for other teams in the run game. And I saw a lot of those same qualities in Evan. Really quick feet, can change directions really fast, has really thick, explosive lower body, has natural leverage built into his body. So he's another young guy that we're really excited, just to see, him come in here every single day and work as hard as he can, and stack one day on top of the next and get a little bit better every single day and see where it, ends up here come September.